Alright, so today class we will be talking about fractions, decimals, and percents and how to change them from one another. So when we look at this first one, we're going to look at how do we convert a decimal to a percent. And something I'd like you to take a look at is 0.25. How are we going to go about changing this decimal, which is decimal point 0.25, so this is 25 hundredths. It's part of a whole, and the whole is out of 100. Remember, in the word percent, we have, which I'll highlight up here for you, we have the word cent in it. Cent is like cents, 100 cents equals $1. So when we look at it, we want to get it in parts of 100. That'll make it easiest for us to create our percent when converting from a decimal. So if we look at this first problem here, 0.25, what we're going to look at first is we're going to see that that's 25 over 100, 25 hundredths, because the 5 and the 25 is in the hundredths place. So that's how to convert it to a fraction. But when looking at trying to get it to a percent, because we have 25 parts out of the 100 and 100 is our total, that becomes what our percent is. So when something's over 100, that is our percent. So this equals 25%. If we scroll down here and we look at this visual, we have 4 quarters. 4 quarters are each worth 25 cents. Just like we're trying to find out what percent is. So each quarter is worth 25 cents. And when we add up our 4 quarters, which are all worth 25, we get to 100, which equals our dollar. So if we look here, this 100 is kind of like this 100 right here. And all of these quarters are just like our parts, which is in our numerator up here. So it depends how many quarters we have. That'll make our percent. Percents are out of 100. So when we look at this next one, I'd like you to try this one on your own and pause the video as far as how to convert 0.75 to a percent. And when we look at 0.75, we think about it's 75 hundredths. So 75 hundredths, it'll be over 100. And we have 75 that goes on top. We have 75 parts out of the whole. So our denominator is our whole, and our numerator is our parts. So if we look at parts over a whole, that'll give us our percent. So if we flip back real quick to this first one, and we look, if we have 0.75, if we have 0.75, that means we have 3 quarters. So that's 25 plus 25 plus 25. That equals 75. So that's our 75 out of 100. Oops, sorry. And so when we look at that, that will then equal 75%. Now on to this next one. I'd like you to try to change this decimal to a percent, going through fractions maybe. Why don't you pause the video? Alright, so now that you've tried it, let's take a look at what we have here. So we have 34 hundredths. So we write 34 as our part, and our whole is the percent. Cent, remember, means out of 100. So 34 over 100, that equals 34%. We also have another drawing note down here. And when we look at this, we have out of 100, this is a grid by 10 by 10, which equals 100. And when we have 34 boxes shaded in, 10 plus 10 plus 4 equals 34. That is the same thing as 34 parts out of 100. Alright class, I have one more I would like you to try. It's 0.71, decimal 0.71, so 71 hundredths. Pause the video and just try that. Alright, now that you might have tried it, we look and we have 71 over 100. 71 is our parts, 100 being our whole, and so we have 71% as parts of the 100. Now you can move on to working on the worksheet.